Hello and welcome to the Speaking Frankly Football Show. I'm Frank Hughes, the chairman of Skelmersdale United Football Club, and alongside me is my co-host and passionate press officer AJ Vigette. Not that being involved with the football club is a prerequisite for hosting a football podcast, but it certainly helps. We are ready to dive headfirst into the vibrant world of non-league football in the Northwest, and we might even take a moment to discuss some of the bigger headlines in the sport. We'll explore life in the Northwest counties, bring you interviews with well-known faces in the league, and analyse how local teams are performing while making bold predictions for their upcoming matches. Nothing is off the limits here. We'll be diving into all kinds of topics, including complicated refereeing decisions and regulations that often leave fans perplexed. We want to hear from you too. This is your show, so don't hesitate to reach out with topics you want us to tackle. Let's get this conversation started and enjoy every single moment. We are speaking frankly. Hello and welcome to the 12th episode of the Speaking Frankly Football Show, and a warm welcome to my co-host AJ.
Hello Frank, hello everybody. Thank you very much for tuning into another episode of the Speaking Frankly Football Show, where we've got a whole heap of things to talk about, including ongoings at Banbury United, West Allotment, Celtic, Bedford and Farsley Celtic. And we're also going to hear from Chris Berezai, who runs the Groundhop UK concept. So it's a heck of an episode.
It certainly is, but listen, we always start with a results roundup, so we're going to have a look at the Northwest counties over the last week. I think we'll start probably with Atherton LR.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the FA Vars, not the league, of course, but they featured in the fourth round of the FA Vars on Saturday. There was three games played with Northwest Counties representation. Abbey Halton and West Didsbury and Chiltern, they got knocked out. But Atherton LR managed to they managed to win and get to the fifth round, albeit leading 2-0 at half time. When the game restarts, they conceded two quick goals in the first 5 minutes.
Yes, they did.
And then they left it really, really late. They got a penalty in the 93rd minute. And Ryan Talbot, who'd already scored from the spot earlier, scored the winner.
Yeah, he did.
Well, what did you make of that?
Well, it's absolute fairy tale from one end, but my goodness me, Davy Jones must have been chewing his fingernails on the side. Not to mention the 310 fans that rocked up to the game at Crilly Park. That's a wonderful turnout for them on a Saturday evening for a cup game. They could really needed that.
I think they deserve more support, to be perfectly honest with you. Remember, we played Taunton in the fourth round of the FA Vars when we were still at White Moss Park, and we got over 700 for that gate.
God.
Although Taunton at the time, I think they were previous FA Vars winners, so they brought a huge contingent of supporters with them.
Yeah, they did.
But listen, as a result of winning, they've managed to get into the last 16 of the competition, and they will face Bourne Town at home. Don't know an awful lot about them.
Not a whole heap at all, no.
But I don't think any opponent will worry them now.
No, I think they can be absolutely fearless. I mean, Hallam are a big team as far as football is concerned. Aren't they one of the oldest existing football teams in England?
Which one, sorry?
Hallam.
Oh, Hallam, yeah, the second oldest.
Second oldest.
And I think they played the oldest the other day, didn't they?
Sheffield FC.
Sheffield FC,
yeah, at the oldest ground, nonetheless, as well.
I know, yeah. It's
something like that. Everything's. I think it's the ancient derby, really, isn't it? But no, I don't think any team will trouble Atherton sort of pre the first whistle,
because they've managed to beat teams above them, aren't they?
Yeah, serious scalps. Yeah, absolutely. A question I have for you. So obviously you'll be more versed in the knowledge of the FA Vars than I will, but. In your experience, teams that win this competition, what step or what league are they coming in from?
Well, you've got to bear in mind it's everything from step 5 to step 6, isn't it? So it's those 2 levels.
Oh, is that it? Oh, goodness me. I thought it was much higher than that.
No, it's just the 2 levels. So, yeah, it is the 2 levels.
Yeah.
FA Bars, yeah, because you go up to the FA Trophy when you get to the Northern Premier League.
Right, okay.
So it's everything at step 5 and step 6.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, initially, people said it was a replacement for the Amateur FA Cup, which we managed to win in 1971. But I don't think it is really. But listen, it's the poor man's FA Cup. But the longer you go on in that competition, it becomes becomes the pinnacle. If you can get to Wembley and play in a Wembley final. There's nothing better than that. Doesn't matter what level of football you're playing at. So I think from David Jones's point of view, I think Atherton LR have been in the semi-finals before, and they've got as far as there. So to go one step further and get to the final would be a remarkable feat for Atherton LR, and of course Davy Jones. So
Dave himself,
just wish him all the best in that. It's an incredible competition. You don't get a great deal of prize money until you get to the latter stages.
Right.
It's not like the FA Cup. But
no, it's got a couple of rounds to go before the bank balance can start to reflect it. But nonetheless, I can't imagine anybody associated with Atherton LR will be thinking about the monetary kind of consequences of this one. I mean, this is an absolute, dream right now, isn't it? They're making such wonderful strides in this competition, and the only thing that they can see is, is it going to be the next round or is it going to be the final? Which one do you think they'll be looking at?
Well, listen, I think they're capable of going all the way. I'd love to see them go all the way. Listen, it's great on your CV, isn't it?
Yeah.
And certainly for Davy Jones, he's a young manager. We know that.
We've spoken about it on the show, but if you weren't aware of it, Davy Jones is, leading Atherton LR at the age of 26. And they're in the fight for promotion from our division, Division 1 North, and now they've hit the 5th round of the FA Vars. Sky's the limit for this fella.
Yeah, most definitely. So the best of luck to him moving forward there, and let's hope that when they do get to the next round, I'm not too sure when it is. If we find that out before the end of the show, we'll let you know.
Yeah.
But whenever it is, let's hope they get a big following there to support them into the next round, into the last 8.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we're going to have a look at the other results in the Northwest Counties, starting with the Thursday night when we started recording. Lower Breck beat Prestwich Hayes 2-1 to keep the heat on at the top of the table.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're doing really, really well. And
certainly are.
Well, listen, the other thing, of course, is they were founded in 2010. They haven't been going for a great deal of time.
Not at all. No, they seem to have. They've picked up some speed early on, haven't they? I mean, to the sort of same speed level as what we applaud FC St Helens for. I mean, Lower Breck are doing sort of just as good, and I'm not ruling them out of that top spot in for promotion.
No,
not at all. I mean, they're sitting 4th right now, but they've got games in hand on all the teams above them. Winning all 3 would take them to the top.
Certainly would. Yeah, they're in 4th position at the moment, but they've got a couple of games in hand, haven't they, on the teams on top? So they go within a point of them. They have a really good time at the moment, top of the form table as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they've got some interesting fixtures which we'll talk about later, because they played last night, which is tonight, but because we're recording, it's a difficult one. They're playing tonight, and they play the big game on Saturday is against Bury, which we'll come to at the end of the...
we'll look at that one a little bit later. We'll look at the Saturday kickoffs now. We'll start in the Southern League, if it's
the results. We're looking at the results. Let's go for it.
There were sort of comprehensive wins for Stafford Town away at Barnton. Slightly less comprehensive, but Winsford Town managed to hold off Alscott Heath. They were 3-1 up with just 5 minutes to go. Alscott Heath scored a second, just put the pressure back on Winsford, but they held out there. And Sandbach got an early goal from Ryan Goodwin, and then was able to see out the rest of the game against Eccleshall. So very much business as usual at the top of the table.
Did you work out how many correct results you got?
I got 15.
Oh, crikey, I got 14. You beat me.
Yes! I won one!
Listen, we put that many draws in, didn't we? There was quite a few draws, but we didn't get them right, did we?
No, we predicted all the wrong games for the draws, but nonetheless, it's good consistency from Stafford and Winsford that kind of help us to accrue these correct predictions and make it seem like we know what we're talking about. So
we're moving on to the Premier Division.
Yeah, we'll move on to the Premier Division.
Premier Division, Abbey Hay at home to Bearscough. They managed to beat Bearscough 2-1 again. Bearscough's lack of form holding them up again.
They're just not navigating the consistency quite as well as what they would like to. They took the lead in that game as an early goal from Callum Laird. The advantage didn't last too long though. Abbey Hay got the equaliser about 15 minutes later, and then a goal early in the second half from Finlay Stanier, and that was enough. But Abbey Hay, another team who, on a decent run of form at the minute, and that's a result that Abbey Hay will be glad to get. But Bearscough, that's got to be a disappointing one.
Two standout results for me there. Obviously, the away win for Bury at Barnoldswick. That was a resounding 4-1 victory, which gets them back on board. Yeah,
absolutely it does. They brought an enormous following as well from Bury as well. It was over 1,000 turned out at Barnoldswick's ground to see that one happen. I think it was also noted as well that I think Lewis Simon Byrne got his first goal since joining from Chadderton, I believe it was. So it was on the score sheet there, and quite a comprehensive result for them. Keeps them right in the mix with Ramsbottom and Chadderton.
And what could have been a really shock result was the game at Colne against Glossop North End. Colne went into a 2-0 lead, and they left it really late, Glossop, but they managed to get back with a Lewis Riley double. And win it in injury time. Win it in
injury time.
From the jaws of defeat.
I don't know whether that. I think Brodie will probably be relieved on that one. To be honest, I think he would have gone there expecting to win, particularly given North End's run of good form. Regardless of how you shape Colne as being a bit of a phoenix from the flames, he would have wanted the 3 points. From
I spoke to him on Monday. He was mightily relieved. He did say they were the better team, but at the end of the day, it felt like a win in the end.
It will have done, particularly the fact that they were 2-0 down, 2 goals in the last 10 minutes. But I think it says an awful lot about his team and his mentality, and how they're starting to shape this sort of midpoint of the season, really, because they're becoming a bloody difficult team to play against. And I think he'll be really pleased with that kind of mental fortitude, if you like.
And he says the expectation there is to finish top 10 this season and push for the playoffs next season. I think with an established team, he'll get close.
I think so. They're 14th at the minute. Top 10 is, they're 6 points away from top 10. So maybe it will happen for them. But, if they don't, I think he can still look back on this one. And particularly after he was hampered with so many injuries in the earlier part of the season, when he could have, had they not done that, had they not had those injuries, they could have strung some serious results together. But I think if you ask Brodie, he'll say it's starting to come together. I think the big game as far as the Premier Division was concerned was at Lower Breck. They took on Ramsbottom United, and I think both of us predicted a draw, largely born out of Ramsbottom's really, really impressive defensive record. But they visited Lower Breck and were absolutely blown away. 3-0 Lower Breck won. 2 goals in the first half kind of put them in control, and then a Sam Burns penalty 20 minutes from time kind of put a serious gloss on that result. So although it doesn't affect the standings of the table, Ramsbottom are still top.
It was a good defeat for Berry.
It was a good defeat. Loss. Yeah, absolutely it was. Yeah. Now there is no game in hand that Ramsbottom hold over Berry. They've both played 32 games, and there is just a point difference between them. As we start to look into the last few games, 15 games of the season, 14 games,
and still Padding. They sort of like
they just won't go away.
Outside chance, haven't they?
No, they're doing really
well.
They're
in the top 6, and they've got 4 games in hand on the top team.
Yeah, they absolutely do. So they were against FC Isle of Man team
who can't win.
They're just not getting a win for love nor money at the minute. No, they're, as far as the form table's concerned, it's just the one win in 6, entirely low-scoring affairs between them. But they did take the lead in this one, and they held it through half-time. But then the 2 goals either side of the hour mark, one from Josh Briggs, one from Bradley Knox, got Paddingham into the lead, and thereon they stayed. But the game that I want to talk about is one at the bottom of the table. Prestwich Hayes, who are sort of sitting at the bottom and a little bit remote as far as the points are concerned. They're sort of 3 or 4 points off second from bottom. A 4-1 win at home to South Liverpool, who themselves aren't entirely out of the relegation mix, but you would like to think that they've got enough stability to keep him safe. But they went to Prestwich Hayes, and we're only 1-0 down at half time, but the floodgates opened in one 15-minute period with 3 goals were scored to put Prestwich 4-0 up. South Liverpool got a late consolation, but that was an absolute shocker of a result for South Liverpool.
It certainly was, but one of those that we want to reflect ourselves when we play, and we'll come to that fixture on Saturday at Route 1 Rovers. But that's something we'd like to replicate. Definitely.
Yeah, it definitely is. Yeah, so we'll come to the Glamour Division, which is the First Division North, and we're going to head north to Blackpool. We've always said that AFC Blackpool are probably one of the most entertaining teams, certainly one of the most high scoring, and their opponent continued a 6-2 win over Bacup Borough. Jacob Gregory getting 2, Luke Heppel getting 2, Bobby Carter grabbing 1, and David Lang getting another 1. It was 3-1 at half time, and then 6-2 in the second half. Just a stunning showmanship of attacking display there from AFC Blackpool.
They seem to have lost the way a little bit, Bacup Borough, because when we played them and they beat us, I think they were up sort of top 5, top 6.
They were not far away from the playoffs when we played them a couple of months ago. I think they were about 7th or 8th. They're now down in... Where are they? Are they 11th now? So I'm looking at the form table. It's the wrong one. Yep. They are 9th, so they're exactly at the halfway point of the table, but not going great guns in the way that we expected them to. A very, very fit team, but technically speaking, maybe a little flawed.
Yeah.
Do you think?
It seems to be, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does seem to be. Yeah. So there were big wins for the teams at the top of the table. Darwin beating Route 1
Well, I was
Rovers.
at that game with Tommy.
Were you? Right.
Yeah, I've got to say the scoreline was rather flattering for Darwin. Route 1 Rovers had 2 men sent off, but it's fair to say they were still in the game.
Okay.
At that stage.
Well, this is a Route 1 Rovers team who did the double over Holker Old Boys, beat them both home and away. And stunning results for a team that are sitting 3rd from bottom of the division.
Yeah.
To have 2 men sent off, you would think would be rather advantageous for us if the suspension is kind of carried over onto Saturday's fixture. Is that the case?
Sorry, my phone went off then, as it does.
Frank!
I don't know. I've turned the volume down and everything, but these things happen. Don't they? Go on what you said.
Given that Route 1 Rovers had 2 men sent off against Darwin, will they now be suspended for...
They will definitely be suspended for the game against us at, when we get back up to Steeton, is it? on Saturday.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of an advantage there. What I would say about Route One Rovers, they're an extremely fit team. They're an attacking side, and they don't stop.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're 110% effort all the time. So we can't take anything for granted against them. It doesn't matter whether they've got two men absent from that game at all. It's going to be a tough game either way.
Yeah, I think it will be. We'll come to that one at the latter end of the show, as we usually do. As I said, there were big wins for the top end team. So Holker Old Boys beat Ashton Athletic 3-2, despite going 1-0 down after 2 minutes. They roared back 3-1 lead. Again, 3 goals in 20 minutes. We're made to feel it a little bit when Ashton Athletic got a second goal in the 97th minute of the game. So they may only have been feeling it for a handful of seconds, but nonetheless. And then Nelson beat Main Road in a bit of style as well, winning 4-2.
And they're still top of the league?
They are still top of the league by virtue only of having played 4 more games than Atherton LR, who are still in second.
And you'd say if they win those games, you expect them to win those games in hand.
Yeah, it's 4. There's only 4 points difference between Nelson and Atherton LR, even with the 4 games in hand. So what'll that be? About 12 points clearance if Atherton LR do win those 4 games. And it's not impossible. They've only lost 2 all season. But,
just you hope it's not a case of points in the bag.
No, exactly, and I don't think...
Because we've got a soft spot for Davy.
We really do, even though we've got Atherton LR to play. I think we are one of those 4 games in hand, so we will make it as difficult as possible for Davy, but if he wins, there won't be any hard feelings or bad blood. So
the one game I'd like to mention is the Garstang game against McGull on Saturday. Absolutely pouring with sweat towards the end of the game because they'd managed to get it. It was 1-1 at the time. They'd managed to get an equaliser in the 78th minute, Garstang. And then Jacob Till managed to score the second goal on the 90th minute to take all 3 points, which was a bit of a relief. And the reason I say it's a relief because if there's any reprieve, any reprieves at all to be had, and when we listen to some of the experts, then just finishing above bottom spot might be good enough to keep us avoiding relegation.
Yeah.
So Garstang at that particular point were looking a point better off, which was a bit of a worry. Yeah,
it certainly was. I mean, Jacob Till has a knack of scoring goals. I think he is McGull's top scorer. I think he helped himself to 2 or 3 when we played them about 4 weeks.
He scored 4.
He scored 4. There we go. Then so
he's attracting attention everywhere.
He knows where the net is, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him be the recipient of a 7-day approach. If not now, then certainly in the off season, because I think he's a bright kid, and I think there will be higher reaches that he can go to. But thank you very much to him for he's done us a bit of a favour there by keeping Garstang within touching distance of us.
And just sort of to finish off with the few midweek games that were played on Tuesday. Bearscough lost at home to Cheadle Town. Glossop managed to get back to winning ways. They beat Litherland Remica 2-1.
Yeah,
great result for them. Padiham still going. They're still going strong.
Unbelievable.
And Ramsbottom United back to form with a 3-2 win, albeit a nervous win because Charnock Richard managed to get a goal back in the 90th minute.
Yeah,
so they hung on a little bit there.
This is a very informed Charnock Richard side as well. We've mentioned it in previous weeks where they are on a part of a handful of teams that are on 6 straight wins or thereabouts. So Ramsbottom have done extremely well to kind of negotiate that substantially tricky hurdle there. Charnock Richard then took the lead with 6 minutes gone, but Ramsbottom coming back, Harvey White grabbing himself 2 in the second half. And then a late penalty from Charnock Richard, just putting a little bit of pressure on them again. West Didsbury and Chorlton, another team that are the recipients of some seriously good form at the minute. A double from Jordan Lansbury and a double from Victor Abadaki, giving them a 4-1 win over Squires Gate, who just cannot buy a win for love nor money at the minute, can they? No, and I think they're in real danger of getting sucked into a promotion, a relegation battle as Colne start to prosper. And Prestwich Hayes, you've got to be looking at building on any kind of good result there, but that was an astonishing one, that 4-1 win.
Yeah, and the only other game of note was last Monday. Abbey Hulton managed to get back to winning ways with the 3-2 win against Barnton. So that was a sort of a bit of a hangover from the FA Vars, a close game there, but they managed to scrape a 3-2 win, which is good for them.
Certainly is.
So listen, that's the results rounded up for the North West Counties. We will, at the end of the show, as we say, come to the forthcoming fixtures and our expert analysis on the results. Expert
in inverted commas, but nonetheless.
Yeah, but listen, we go on to move on to the controversial issues now, because we like to cover and there's been some real controversial issues, hasn't there? Whether you want to lead with the Banbury United story.
Yeah, absolutely. So Banbury United are a fan-led club, and they're facing some quite significant financial challenges. It was reported recently that the £91,000 that they had in reserve funds had all gone, in large part due to the devastating effects of the recent flooding and freezing that they had been on the receiving end of, and also the purchase of a new grandstand for their stadium was also a large reason as to where this money has gone. Now, the difficulty for them is that they do not own their own ground, stadium approach, and they don't have a long-term lease either. So
this is a recurring story, isn't it? With non-league football clubs.
It really is. Yeah, is that we are now starting to see more and more teams who are not able to call a ground their home for one reason or another. They've given up the leasing agreement, or they've not been able to afford terms set out by the landlord, and therefore having to have a bit of a nomadic existence, playing wherever will take them. So that's obviously an enormous stumbling block for them.
And as we speak right now, they're having a meeting with their supporters. And one of the questions will be whether they can carry on moving forward as a fan ownership, or whether it needs to be changed.
Whether it switches to private led, which it is. Private led does tend to be the more traditional option, doesn't it? We are seeing some kind of fan owned clubs. But
where are you in terms of fan ownership? What do you think of fan ownership?
I think we can use Bury as an example, really, as one of those fan-led clubs where actually it's proving extremely difficult to get everybody on side with the direction of the club, because you will always have a substantial amount of naysayers and disagreeers with whatever direction you put it in.
But the reverse of that is, and we will talk about Farsley Celtic again, is that it's a sole ownership as far as I know, and things aren't working out there either. So fan ownership, private ownership, the jury's out a little bit. Depends how well run and how well organised these clubs are.
It is. I mean, we should stress that private owned clubs do tend to make the news, but not necessarily to the scale that Farsley Celtic has. Like Frank says, we will kind of come back to this, but for the most, if you ask, there's not too many gripes with private ownership of a football club, as long as the fans can reasonably make themselves heard and have that noise kind of taken into account. For me, I still think private ownership is kind of the way to go.
I agree with you. There's too many obstacles, too many people to go through before you get
Anywhere.
You get anywhere.
Goodness me. Yeah.
Great, yeah. Listen, what we'll do is before we go on to back to the more serious notes.
Yeah.
This is an interesting one, an unexpected turn of events. A match at West Allotment Celtic, and we spoke to their chairman earlier on this season.
David Dodds, yeah.
Was postponed due to an unusual issue, an abundance of goose droppings on the pitch.
Yeah, absolutely. So they were forced to cancel their game, largely down to a health and safety issue of geese being present on the pitch and geese leavings also being present on the pitch. Volunteers did attempt to clear up the mess, but the referee has decided that the pitch is unplayable and the match was abandoned 30 minutes before
I've never heard of this before.
I've heard of animals making it onto the pitch. We've had squirrels, we've had pigeons, we've had a seagull, but we have never known geese to get on there and defecate. But I mean, it just kind of shows just how exposed stadiums are to nature.
So this is what they've said. The non-league football club is suffering from a flock of geese after birds began using the club's pitch as a toilet. Now, well, the simple answer to that is build them a toilet of their own. But their club chairman, David Dodds, who we spoke to earlier on in the season, has tried to make the most of a bad situation and joked about how his team could embrace the birds. We've got the magpies and the black cats locally. Maybe our nickname should be the geese. But,
not bad. In fairness and in hindsight, it's probably not the worst. It's not the worst encounterment that they've had this season, is it? Really?
No.
compared to previous headaches.
Well, they were close to going out of business at one stage, weren't they? Yeah.
They nearly collapsed, and it took a takeover to get their season back and running. I think all concerned with West Allotment Celtic did believe that this season they may have been kicked out of the league and have to start from scratch. But Dave Dodds did confirm that they were sold into another ownership, and isn't it true that they're working on?
They're doing a documentary.
They are doing a behind-the-scenes documentary.
One,
absolutely, yeah. So look out for that one coming to a big screen near you. But in the meantime, they've just got to deal with the geese.
Yeah, definitely. So those wanting to help the club can also buy one of its newly designed t-shirts, which read, "I saved a non-league club from geese."
I mean, what a way to make money out of a strange situation. They've had to go through DEFRA, the Department for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs, and also North Tyneside Castle to get advice on the geese situation. They're told that the geese used to congregate in a big field opposite the stadium, but there has been building development on there, forcing the geese to relocate. It was also attracted international attention after a video of one of its members chasing the geese away went viral on social media. The club has launched a raffle with a bottle of Goose branded vodka. Should be Grey Goose, I should imagine. As its top prize. Tickets have been sold to people from Japan, Slovakia, Germany and Australia. Right, we really need a viral movement going on.
Yeah,
we absolutely do.
And a sort of word of notice to the geese. The fact that you've managed to get a game postponed is a little bit crap. Moving on to mergers.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll take you down to Bedfordshire for this one, and it's quite a significant move within the football community. Bedford Town and Real Bedford have announced a merger to strengthen both clubs. Now, the mergers like this can lead to a more financial stable footing, increased resources and a larger fan base. But the balance of this is that they raise concerns about identity and tradition. Now, if we look at both of the clubs, there are starkly contrasting fortunes between the two off the pitch. So Real Bedford were taken over by a chap called Peter McCormack, who's a local man, but has made an absolute fortune through Bitcoin. He took them over in 2022.
Well, it's not actually the chairman, is it? The chairman's not got the money. It's the.
Is he not?
The investor is the. Is it the investor? The Winkle.
The
Winklevoss twins.
Yeah, the Winklevoss
renowned
twins.
American investors in cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
They've injected $4.5 million into Rail Bedford.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
Peter McCormack is famous for holding his Bitcoin podcast.
Is he? Right. He must have made some money off of it then.
You'd imagine he's made a bit of money, but it's the Winkle. The Winkle, is it Winkle?
Winklevoss. Yeah.
Winklevoss twins.
So those of you who've been to the cinema in the last 15 years will know the Winklevoss twins from being featured in the film The Social Network, in which they sued Mark Zuckerberg over the creation of Facebook. They believed that they'd come up with the idea, and Mark Zuckerberg.
Well,
yes, absolutely.
I've not done my research there. Didn't realise that.
No. They also rode crew for the Olympic national team of America in 2004, I believe it was, in which they placed 6th. At the Olympic Games. So they are from a very notable background, and they did invest a hefty amount of money into Real Bedford, who were known as Bedford FC before being taken over by Peter McCormack, who then renamed them as Real Bedford. Now, they are top of their domestic league and look set for yet another promotion, which would make it the 3rd in a row. But that's not to understate the achievements of Bedford Town, who are sitting 5th in that division, looking very much in the fight for the playoffs.
Yeah, so when we talk about mergers, are you for them or against them?
I'm against them. I am very much one of tradition and identity. So Bedford Town are a team that have been going since the 1880s. They're about as old as we are. That team and that name and that identity carries an awful lot of weight within the Bedford community. And I think to see it merge with Real Bedford, I think would incur a serious identity crisis, if you like.
As they say, it's a dilution of local identity and tradition.
Yeah, it really does. Yeah, I think one particular fan, when the merger was announced, said that to remove the existence of Bedford Town is criminal. And I think that whilst it would kind of secure their safety, it secures them safety, and prosperity in the long term. It secures them in an altogether different coalition, whereby the say of their football club and how it's run is not necessarily theirs anymore.
And like you say, we witnessed it with Bury, the two factions from
we
Bury
did
as well, and the infighting that we believe is allegedly still going on.
We believe so. There's a lot of arguments back and forth. We did have this discussion with the Shakers podcast members about episode 5, I think it was, where they say that the infighting is still very much alive and the direction of the club is one that, does meet with a lot of discontention, whatever which way direction you try and take. So it will be interesting to see how this merger shapes the factions of the two clubs, and just exactly what kind of exodus or what kind of fallout we might expect from this, because we assume that there will be one. But just what direction it will take remains to be seen.
Yeah, and anybody that's listening to the show and can comment on that, please comment on it and give us a little bit more insight.
Yeah.
A bit more detail on what's going on there or what you think is likely to happen.
Yeah.
But like you said before, imagine Scammerdale United merging with Persco's or Claybrow. It would just, from a traditional point of view, people would never have that. Particularly for a club that's been going for 140 years, they are mired in tradition, aren't they? It's the very foundation
what a football club is run these days, I believe, anyway.
Yeah, well, listen, no doubt we'll come back to that story at some stage during the season.
I doubt we've heard the last of that one.
Yeah, we're returning to Farsley Celtic now. I said a new chapter, but this is the story that keeps on giving, isn't it? They've now appointed Neil Redfern, the former
Leeds United
manager, albeit for a short period of time. He's had over 1,000 appearances in the Football League, so he's well prepared to tackle this football club, you would think. But then, rather bizarrely, Pav Singh, who resigned as the manager, has decided to come back as the assistant.
Yeah, he absolutely has. So we feel that of all the tribulations that Farsley Celtic have experienced over this season, Pav Singh has remained the one constant source there, not necessarily to blame, not necessarily, have done anything to the discontentment of fans, but he's put the team first, he's put the club first, he's operated in as much of a capacity as he possibly can do.
And fiercely loyal to Paul Barthorpe
Very
as well.
Fiercely loyal.
He left the club on good terms.
Yes, he did.
And a glowing reference to Paul and the club.
Really did.
But he's come back, maybe he doesn't have to commit as much time as an assistant, so that's made it more attractive to him. But nonetheless, he's back, and Paul Barthorpe has said these appointments are a statement of intent for this club in terms of where we are, who we are, and our goals. There's been a lot of doubt and uncertainty around the club, and many things have been said about me. Actions speak louder than words, and I hope this action, the first of many to come, will restore some of that faith.
Yeah,
but there's still an awful lot of questions to
well,
answer. And when we've been on social media and we've asked for people, supporters of Farsley Celtic, to come on the show and comment and maybe give us a little bit more insight and whether they see a light at the end of the tunnel now that Neil has been appointed as the manager.
Yeah. What I will say is that there's still an awful lot of discontentment for the under fire and unpopular chairman Paul Barthorpe. I think he's been accused of papering over the cracks with this appointment. Now, it's a very good coup from his point of view, and from the point of view of the club as a playing model, to snag a manager like Neil Redfern, I think is an outstanding coup. I think that the task that Redfern has ahead of him, I don't think he can turn it around anytime soon. I think he's got to be in it for the long run. I mean, his team of bleeding players, as we saw in the last show when we announced the departure of Ben Atkinson, the club captain and highest appearance player in the club's history. I think Pav Singh will have rejoined in order to learn from Redfern's tactical and coaching acumen, if you like. But as I say, Barthorpe has been accused of papering over the cracks. There is still the matter of the unfinished ground, the Citadel, which is
and work has not commenced on that yet, has it? As far as we know, they haven't started. No. So there's still ground sharing in Buxton, we imagine.
Yeah, 75 miles away. Yeah, they still are. The ground doesn't look like it's going to be completed before the end of the season, which then sort of begs into question, where are Farsley Celtic going to be playing next season? How are they going to be playing? Are they going to manage? There's still players that they need to bring to the club in order to fulfil fixtures, and there's also the matter of the bar staff that as yet haven't been paid.
But the embargo's been lifted, so you imagine that because of that they must have been paid, or they must have been promised payment. Whatever's happened, it's simply, it looks as though the appointment of Neil is sort of it might galvanise the club a little bit, but it still paints over the cracks a little bit.
It does very much paint over the cracks, yeah. So
more questions than answers.
More questions than answers, yeah. I mean, is Redfern being paid? How much is he being paid? Because he is a former professional coach. Yeah. To drop down to this level, no, he won't come cheap at all. I mean, what's the championship? Step 1.
Championship is step. Their league that they're in.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. So he's dropped an awful lot of leagues down.
Step 2, is it?
Yeah. So he's dropped an awful lot of leagues and an awful lot of steps down to be here. You've got to think, why? There must have been clubs higher.
But he might be just reviving his own career, mightn't he?
He may very well have been done, but
everybody assumed that we were paying Pascal Chimbonda. He was just trying to carve his career out in management for the first time. So
that's interesting.
Not everything you see is.
No, it's not. No, but again, I think it does. We are looking at sort of papering over the cracks here, but nonetheless, like he's still got a job to do. Farsley's last game was a 5-0 loss at home, in inverted commas, to Scarborough Athletic. They are hovering just above the relegation zone. I think by virtue of Hanley Town's season, I think they may well survive, but nonetheless it's a very good difficult position for Redfern to start out with. I think he's got an awful lot of a challenge ahead of him.
Yeah, listen, we'll no doubt be talking about that again at some stage, probably getting fed up with it by now, but I'm certainly sure that the supporters are suffering more than anyone.
I mean, if you could make a dramatic TV series about a football team, you would absolutely make it about Farsley Celtic at the minute, wouldn't you?
Farsley Celtic.
Or Farsley Celtic, as they've started to be known on social media. We don't take credit for that one. We apologise. But there you go. So they'll no doubt be back on our airwaves, maybe even next week.
And now the appointment of Jefferson Montero. The great addition to the FC St Helens Football Club, who reside in the North West Counties Premier Division.
Yep.
Once again, the acquisition of a good friend of mine, Mark Hayes, who serves as the sporting director at St Helens, FC St Helens. He's once again showcased his exceptional talent for recruitment and negotiation. He's truly a master of persuasion, effectively convincing players to join his teams, and it's worth noting that not long before Pascal became a name at Skem, Mark managed to sign him as a player at Ashton Town when he was chairman there.
Brought an awful lot of publicity back down to the North West Counties again, and I think we had it to an awful lot of an extent when Pascal became coach at Skem. But even more recently than that one, Adam Hamill plying his trade at... He's playing for Maghull. Having sort of graced the Premier League with Wolves, the Championship with Barnsley and with Scunthorpe United. So Jefferson Montero is the latest player to come. Craig Noon, absolutely.
Warrington Town.
Yeah, he's gone down to Warrington Town, and he's now received his international clearance, so he will be available to make his debut at the weekend for Warrington Town. But as far as Montero goes, he had a stint in the Premier League with Swansea City, and he's played in La Liga as well. He is 35 years old, so he's still got time on his side.
Well, they say it's not a publicity stunt, but it is great publicity for the North West Counties once again.
Publicity, it really is. I should imagine there'll be an awfully large turnout for a former Premier League player when he makes his debut. Maybe this weekend.
I believe so. Are you ready for this weekend?
There you go.
We're hoping to have their chairman Steve Leather on as soon as he returns from holiday and discuss the history of FC St Helens, only 11 years old.
Very short history of this club. They were founded in 2014, but they've absolutely rocketed up the pyramids from amateur all the way up to where they are now, and still climbing. So once we get Steve on the show, we'll be questions abundant for him on that one.
Yeah, listen, and before we move on to the second part of the show and the interview with Chris from Groundhop UK, some sad news to report, and that is the death of former chairman and director of Skelmersdale United, Paul Griffiths. Sadly passed away on the 30th of December last year. Our condolences to Linda, his family and his friends. We'll have news on his funeral as and when we receive it, but
absolutely.
God bless Paul. Rest in peace, mate.
Very much so, yeah. As a chairman through some of the really outstanding times of Skelmersdale United. I think he saw them. He was there when Skem won the Northern Premier League.
Northern Premier League, West or North, whatever it was at the time.
In
Kept changing names.
2013, wasn't it?
Yeah, won the Liverpool Senior Cup under his stewardship as well. 25 years at the club, ran about 11 years as chairman.
It's incredible.
Anybody with that kind of service to a football club deserves acknowledgement. Really sad news when I heard it.
Yeah.
Sad news for Skem, and I know it's come as a great shock to a lot of people. So, like I say, condolences to Linda and the rest of the family and friends of Paul. Listen, we'll just be taking a break for a commercial break, and like I said, we'll be coming back to speak to Chris Berezai from the Groundhop UK. Special shout out to all the businesses that support Skelmersdale United Football Club, Origin Sign Company, T&W Garners, 7PDS, Skem Express Cars 5005, Lease Car UK, RNB Auto Centre, SB Skills Solutions and Hey Presto Web Design. Thank you to everyone who donates to the club, supports our race nights, raffles and the lottery bonus ball scheme. And, of course, the last man standing. A special thanks to those who organise these fundraising events, especially the incredible Lee Davis and Lucas Bergquist. To all who stand by us both on and off the field, we are truly grateful. If you wish to sponsor the show, please contact me at chairman.skemutdfc@gmail.com or call me on 07766 054 548. All proceeds will go to Skelmersdale United Football Club. Thank you for your unwavering support. Hello and welcome to the second part of the Speaking Frankly football show. Our special guest on the show is Chris Berezai, who's the founder and organiser of Groundhop UK. Welcome to the show, Chris.
Hi, good evening, and thank you for having me on.
Brilliant, yeah. Listen, can you tell us how you developed the idea and the method behind the madness?
Wow, that's a big question. Do you want the long answer or the short answer?
Whichever you feel more comfortable with, we can accommodate.
I'll give you the slightly longer answer then, which goes back 23 years now, to 2002. And myself and one of my best mates were both involved with a club in Wales, as you can tell from the accent, that's where I'm from. And we had an idea to do a couple of games with the Welsh League, as it was at the time. And we managed to get that up and running in 2002. And then another league came to us and said, well, look, if they drop out, they don't want to do it, we'd love to take that on. And that's how we started doing things with the South Wales Amateur League. We were working immediately with the Hellenic League from day one because they wanted to do 2 days on an August bank holiday. I wanted to do 2 days in Wales and just merged it all up together. Then we got the call to go down to Central Midlands League. Then we talked to Dorset about doing something. As you can see, it all started to snowball. And I'd say for the first 10, 15 years of Groundhop UK, we would constantly be approaching leagues and saying, look, do you think you'd like to stage a Groundhop event? And then about 10 years ago, stopped doing that because leagues were coming to us. And they were very keen to, they'd seen what was happening, they'd seen the crowds and how much money it was generating. And so 2010, we were asked by the Mid Wales League, 2013 then by the the Welsh Alliance as it was then. So we had virtually a rolling programme where leagues would come to us and we were sort of fitting them in as and when we could, which brings us to our current lineup today.
So how big has it got now? How many clubs have benefited from this over the years?
You can ask me something like that. So, Bedford, got my laptop in front of me. We have done 638 games up to the end of 2024. That's an awful lot of games, and an awful lot of people watching them, as you can imagine. So yeah, it's we've had some ridiculous gates. The gates in the Northwest Counties League are shocking us at the because we didn't really, we started off in Northwest Counties. It was almost 300 or so people that we get for a Groundhop game, and that's virtually doubled in the Northwest Counties recently. I think this is going to sound odd, but I think COVID's helped in that it gave us an 18-month break, and then everybody has come back saying how much they want to go to football, and our attendances have sort of boomed ever since.
So just for a beginner's perspective, Chris, can you explain exactly what Groundhop is and what it does and how it operates?
Okay. What we do is that in liaison with the league, we will organise the weekends where we have a set number of games staggered kick-off times across the weekend. So, for example, we'll ask for a Friday evening game, and then games at roughly 11 to 5 and 8 on a Saturday, and then 2 games on a Sunday. Obviously, on Saturday in particular, the games have got to be very close together, and on the Sunday they can be a little bit further apart. But in order to get 4 games in, then they've got to be very close together. Our preferred option for Saturday is actually 3, which is what we try and do most of the time now. The Northwest Counties seems to like 4, and in Scotland we do 4. But when you're in Scotland, it's a question of cramming the games in. So that's what we do once we've got our schedule organised. And then get prices from coach company, source hotels. Once we've got all that, we go out with a booking form and details to our email list, and it's then released through our website, through our Twitter accounts. And then everybody hopefully pays up a lot of money and comes on our weekend and has a good time.
And generally speaking, in the Northwest Counties, because we're from the Northwest Counties Football League,
absolutely, yeah.
How many coaches on average are fully booked up on these occasions?
Listen, this is where, if you like, there's a false perspective. There's only ever one. There's very rarely 2.
All right.
So we will take like 1 coach load around. These are people who want to do what I call a full weekend, which is, they want to be ferried up from wherever. We go around with the coach, they stay at the hotel, etc. But there's a lot more people there. Will just do their own thing. They'll just drive around, buy a ticket. A lot of them won't buy tickets, even though we encourage it, because buying a ticket guarantees them to get a program, which a lot of them like. The more people we can have on a coach, the more people we get in a hotel, the better. Even if it's just for logistics, for parking and things like that. But a lot of people really insist on driving around. Eventually, they'll kill it off, to be honest, because if there's no point in me doing it, because nobody wants to go on the coach, nobody wants to stay in a hotel, then I'm not going to bother organising the weekend. So people need to sort of bear that in mind, that really doing the full weekend is the way to go.
Yeah. Listen, I know it's great from a groundhopper's perspective, but there's so many clubs that have benefited from the financial bonus of having these groundhop occasions.
There are. It's a kind of a win-win-win situation. As I've alluded to, Groundhop UK is a commercial company. It's my company, and it employs me. So Groundhop UK has to make money. Doing these groundhops, yes, it does. But it also gives groundhoppers exactly what they want, which is a load of new grounds, within one weekend with one lot of travelling costs, and 7 ticks in a weekend is better than one. And then from the club's perspective, they are playing in front of much larger crowds. They are reaping the benefit of playing in front of that much larger crowd. And of course, that will earn them a lot of money. We do guide clubs through it completely. And we say, do this, do that, etc. It all seems a bit picky at times, but everything is in there for a reason in the notes we give them. And it's there to maximise the return and the money they can make on a weekend. I mean, they laugh when I say your money's in your food, but really that is where it is. If they get that right, then it kind of dwarfs what actually comes in on the gate. Surprising as that may sound.
Yeah, and we'll come to food in a bit, because Squires Gate were featured last season in the Groundhop, and unfortunately their game got called off because they got battered with rain, and they lost a fair bit of money due to that. But the Groundhop community contributed in their droves to the GoFundMe page, and they ended up with.
I was going to say, Squires Gate didn't miss out. They were very cute in what they did in setting up a GoFundMe, and they got a lot of money to at least cover the losses. We understand there were going to be losses there because the programs, for example, are wasted. And of course, there's the food which they've taken in, which was wasted. We know that they donated that to either a local food bank or the homeless, etc. So, that was all done for a good cause. And then the GoFundMe covered their losses and then some.
Yeah.
So they did very well to do that.
Yeah, according to the official figures, the GoFundMe page raised over £2,000 for the club, and 200 unsold pies were given to the Blackpool food bank. So it was a win-win for them.
Yeah, absolutely. They did absolutely the right thing to do. With that, in my opinion, I kind of applauded their initiative. Although that wasn't surprising. That wasn't universally applauded from some courses. We had some saying, well, they could have done a bit more, they could have done this. I don't see what they could have. You can't control the weather. That's one thing that we always say you can't control two things. One is what goes on the pitch, and two is the weather. Everything else is manageable. But yeah, so we were disappointed to lose them. We lost the AFC Blackpool game as well. But it does mean we will make a return trip to Blackpool, probably maybe even as early as next year. But yeah, we've got those two to do. And of course now also in the league we've got Thornton Cleveland's. Yeah. So that makes a nice little trio to go and do during the day.
Yeah, so out of the 7 teams that were nominated for the North West Counties Groundhop, only 5 of them managed to get played on the day. But there was 22 goals scored in all, with a total attendance of 2,583, so an average gate of over 500. I happened to be at one of them. We played Charnock Richard last season on the Sunday, albeit we got thumped 7-1, but there was a huge contingent of groundhoppers in attendance, and it was a really fantastic day out.
Your figures are slightly out, unfortunately.
All right.
Unfortunately, the actual attendance 2,482.
All right.
Over the 5 games, an average of 496. You know what I was saying about the figures going up. If you compare that to the year before, when we were in Staffordshire, the average attendance there 365. That's a big increase.
It's a huge leap, isn't it?
Really big increase. And if you compare it to sort of when we first started doing this in 2017, where the average was 330. So it's leapt up. Crowds last year, over 500 at FC St Helens, 600 at Exton Villa, 500 at Charnock Richard. These are our crowds are really happy to see. Because obviously we know then it's going a long way into benefiting the clubs.
It's incredible, and of course you do get, because people are anticipating larger gates, you do have an awful lot of floating fans that pop round to see what's going on as well.
You do, and obviously, the more the better, because every floating fan that goes through the gate and pays some money is money for that club. We encourage them to buy tickets where we can. Obviously, we've spoken before about the hotel and coach. But yeah, it generates an awful lot of money. Would you like one little nice figure that we are quite proud of is that we reckon that in the time we've been going, that we've generated round about £1.7 million into the economy of non-league football.
That's brilliant.
That's insane.
That's absolutely sensational, that.
How much... Sorry, Chris, how much planning and preparation goes into this from sort of day one to match day and beyond?
An awful lot is the word. I do everything from, as I said, obviously work for myself, for the company. We do all the planning and preparation here in liaison with the league and with the clubs. At the moment, we are talking to the North West Counties clubs with regard to what we would expect them to have ready and to, if you like, prepare them as best we can for the day. The league have already arranged the fixtures. I've had the quotes in today, by the way, for the coach company, so I know what we're paying, and I know I know where we're going to be staying. So yeah, I mean, all of this organisation carries on, and then the closer we get, the more intense it becomes. There's a lot of paperwork that I need to generate. For this hop, I will send somebody up in advance to act as an advance party. We have advanced program packs made. People who come to the hop and have bought an advance ticket, when they arrive at their first game, they will get their ticket, they will get some blurb about the Groundhop, and they'll get a pack of programs for all the games they're going to. Doesn't have to be all of them. They can actually have what we call a split ticket, where they only go to select games, but they get all their programs in one go. There's two advantages to that. Firstly, they don't have to worry about a big thing when people go to a hop game, big crowd. Oh, am I going to get a program? Buy an advance ticket. That worry goes away because we guarantee it. Because every ticket you get the program for the games that you're going to. It is still a big thing. We insist on printed programs. We are the last bastion of the printed program. Every single game that we've been to since 2002 has produced a printed program, and that will continue.
It's almost a military operation.
It has been described like that. Somebody looked at my time. We had 442 magazine with us on one hop, and they described my schedule as like military precision. I thought they're being.
It's certainly a credit to yourself.
They're being a bit funny about that, but I'll actually take it as a compliment.
Oh, it's definitely a compliment. Listen, just how many games do you manage to get to in a full season then yourself?
Me, myself?
Yeah.
Well, it's a bit hard because I do mine from January the 1st to December the 31st because I see so many games during the summer. So that having it as over the season was sort of a bit pointless. But I can tell you now that in 2024, I did 152.
Crikey, yeah.
Well, and I will also say that compared to most of the people that I know and the people who go on these hops, I am an amateur.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, there are some buffs, aren't they? They're complete now to buff. They'll go to a hell of a lot of games, won't they?
There are people I know that last year did more games than there were days a year.
It's much easier now, though, Chris, isn't it? Because there's almost a game every night or every afternoon, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. In the days when I was growing up, sort of football was Saturday afternoon and maybe the occasional midweek. But now, games spread across, especially for European games. You've got games from Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Some clubs like to play on a Monday. Then there's some clubs are doing Friday night games, and then there's the Premiership's being played on a Sunday. You've got football 7 days a week.
Really do.
That's brilliant. And listen, are you affiliated to any particular club yourself? Do you support an individual club yourself?
Yeah. I've got my 2 professional clubs. I sort of clarify this by saying, when you're in school, you always had your local club, and then everybody picked like your big club, so that all the people I was in school with were supporting Liverpool or Leeds or Arsenal or whatever. And there's me. The team I picked was Swindon Town.
Swindon Town.
I thought, yeah, I know. I thought they were a big team. I was 5 years old when I picked them. I thought they were a big team, and of course, I didn't know the Under-3 division at the time. But there you go. I'm a bit stuck with them now. My local club is Swansea City. So I got my 2 professional clubs, and my local club here, where I live, is Long Eaton United.
Long Eaton, yeah.
So I go and watch them quite a bit at the moment, because I've just joined them as their media boss.
Oh, right.
And running their media team for them.
Mm.
So how many county leagues are you involved with, Chris?
At the moment? How many? What you mean? How many hop events are we running at the moment?
So obviously you say you've been to the northwest counties. Is there sort of other counties that you cover under Groundhop?
We cover the UK. They call Groundhop UK for a reason. This year we do the northwest counties beginning of March. 2 weeks after that, we're in Scotland. With the East Scotland League. Excuse me. Then we aren't doing Easter this year. So our next hop then is in the United Counties League. That's going to be Lincolnshire based this year. Then at the end of August, we are launching our new hop that we sent out a lot of information to the press about last week, which you guys are going to be interested in, because it's with the West Lancashire League.
I was going to come to that.
Wow, okay.
So the West Lancs will be the August Bank Holiday hop. Then in middle of September, we do the West Wales Groundhop with the West Wales Premier League. And then in October, we do our 2 southern hops, one in Kent and one in Sussex. So this year we're running 7. Next year it'll be 8, because we have Easter back, and Easter next year will be with the Northern League. So as you can see we are right over the country.
Yeah, you are.
And do you manage to stay married during all of this or not?
I do. My excuse is that it's my job.
Oh, right. If
it wasn't my job, I'm sure Jen would have something to say about it. But she's very good, and she doesn't object to me doing it, because it's my job. Got to do it.
Yeah.
I've got to go and watch football for a living.
Listen, Ella, I know AJ laughed about you being a Swindon Town fan, but just for context here, I'm an Everton supporter and AJ's a Manchester United supporter, so...
Yeah, it's not like we've got much to shout about at the minute.
Well, Frank, I certainly can't accuse you of being a glory hunter.
No, definitely not. We're bottom of the Northwest Counties Division 1 North as well. Skelmersdale United.
The good news is I actually saw Everton win the other day. I was at the FA Cup game against Peterborough at Ferguson Park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we managed to win again, didn't we, against Tottenham on Sunday? So since David Moyes has come back, the Moyes effect is working.
Yeah, you look really good.
Yeah, we did. Well, I don't know whether we looked really good or Spurs looked really bad. I don't know, but the second half we seemed to come back to life a little bit, and my heart was in my mouth towards the end of the game, because I felt they were going to get back on terms.
Yeah, but I mean, how many times have you seen it happen? But I mean, you just live with it. But from a ground hopping point of view, it was lovely to go back to Goodison Park. I'd been before several years ago, but there's not many games left now before you move to Bramley Moor Dock, and it was just lovely to go and see a proper football ground.
Yeah, it definitely is, and there's very few of them knocking about now. If you go to the new Bramley Moor Dock, it's how do we describe the stadium? As a big sort of rugby ball
with a hole in the middle.
With a hole in the middle, with wrapped in tinfoil. It looks like that. It doesn't look very. It doesn't look very nice on the eye. But
it's going to be great. It's going to be great inside, though, and I mean, it's going to
make the club money, isn't it? I think. It's going to host all kinds of events there. But listen, just to round it off, the Northwest Counties League Hop has been confirmed, as you say, and the fixtures are as follows: Friday, the 28th of February, Ramsbottom United versus St Helens Town. FC St Helens. I've got to say that's a 7:45 kickoff. Saturday, the 1st of March, is Stockport Georgians versus Sandbach, which is 11 o'clock kickoff. Stockport Town versus Cheadle Town, which is a 1:45 kickoff. New Mills versus Cheadle Heath Nomads, a 4:45 kickoff. And Glossop North End versus West Didsbury and Chorlton is a 7:30 kickoff. And then to round the weekend off, Sunday, the 2nd of March, Abbey Hay versus Prestwich Hayes, 11:45, and Droylsden versus Darwin, which is a 2:30 kickoff. Which one are you looking forward to?
From wearing my Groundhopper's hat, Stockport Georgians, and not Droylsden, Abbey Hay, is that they're the only ones I haven't been to before.
Oh, right.
So from purely groundhopping perspective, that from the organiser, I'm looking forward to them all. I think they're all going to do a fantastic job. A couple of people have queried why we put Georgians before Town, because it didn't make much sense geographically. It's the way we've done it. It's purely that the Town's ground wasn't available at 11 o'clock. So we just switched the two Stockport clubs around. Georgians were fine with that, so we'll do those two first, and then go over to New Mills. Well, I'll be halfway home by the time we get up to Glossop. We'll be back in Derbyshire.
So, which ground stands out for you as being a particularly memorable one?
What, in the past, or
anything from a non-league perspective?
If you ask most groundhoppers in the UK, who've got something like a similar number of grounds to what I've got and more, then they'll be able to sort of pick off a couple, just like that. But if I were to pick just one for its unique setting, it would be a little club called Garrow, which is, funny enough, only about 4 miles north of where I grew up, in Bridgend in South Wales. And Garrow is at the top of the Garrow Valley. It's named after the valley. But their ground is, it has to be seen to be believed. If I did a brief description of, if you imagine the side of a valley coming down, and then where it bottoms out, you've got a football pitch, a fence, a brook, a railway line, and then it starts to climb up again. So you've got a very narrow valley floor. The football ground is on that floor, so they have changing rooms halfway up the hill, so that you enter the changing rooms like on the top level, and you come out to the bottom level to go onto the pitch. So they've got a converted house for that, with a stand then that looks straight down onto the pitch. It's walkways down to it that you can stand on. It's just a really strange experience, but it's an absolute belter of a ground. We're going to one in the Easter Hop, which is down in the southwest, run by Phil Hiscox of the Southwest Peninsula League. And on the Saturday, we are going to a club called Nampion Rovers in Cornwall, and their ground is supposed to be very much like Garrow's. but it's built in a chalk pit. and basically you have walkways and little covered areas all the way around on various levels, and it's just a completely different experience. But I would say if you need to go to one just for something completely different, Gary ticks the boxes.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Well, you sold it to us.
Yeah, we're on our way.
The only other set of changing rooms I can think that are similar to that are Alsager Town. They're on the top sort of embankment, and you have to walk all the way down. I don't know how many steps. God knows how many steps to the pitch itself.
Well, if you imagine with Gareth's this house they've got converted, you walk into it as if you're walking into the top floor. You're walking into the bedrooms, and then you walk down into the changing rooms, and then down again to exit onto the pitch. It's just, I haven't seen anything like it. So
it's extraordinary.
It's great. Yeah.
Listen, it's been a fascinating conversation. How do people get hold of you? Anybody that's interested in joining the Groundhop?
The best thing they can do is get onto our mailing list. With our mailing list, we then issue newsletters, and then any news which is relevant and booking forms and etc. You'll get it straight to your inbox. And the way of doing that is to email groundhopuk@gmail.com and just say, "Hi Chris, can you please put me on the mailing list?" I'll keep that email to come the end of GDPR regulations, and then you go straight onto the mailing list. Whenever anything's ready, out it comes to you. That's the best way. Other ways, we have a website. Just type in Groundhop UK, and it'll come up. And on Twitter, we are Groundhop UK on Twitter. But we also have individual Twitter accounts for each of the hops. So you could put in at the moment at NWCFL Hop 25. It'll bring up the hop Twitter account.
Listen, fantastic, Chris. Listen, you're doing a fantastic job.
Yeah.
It's been a really interesting conversation. Thank you for coming on the show.
No problem at all. Are we going to see you guys there this year?
At any of the Groundhops, we're just looking at them now in our schedule.
We really are.
Who are we playing?
I'll probably
get down to the Ramsbottom one because we're friends with the manager there, Steve Wilkes, and
actually we're friends with a couple of the guys over at FC St Helens as well. So that'll be a lovely game to see. We are actually in action ourselves on the 1st of March, so not 100% sure which game we might get to there. But with any luck at all, you'll see us on the Ramsbottom game.
Yeah. What about the Sunday? Will you get a pass at Sunday?
Sunday, the one that jumps out is Droylsden Darwen.
Yeah. Might do, but it depends how forgiving my wife is. She's not as forgiving as yours.
And mine, because we don't get paid for this.
We're working 7 days a week, and when you throw football on top of it, it doesn't go down particularly well. And then when you're running a football podcast as well on top of that.
Exactly. We've got to give them plenty of notice.
Yeah. Listen, just an interesting one for you there is that the Ramsbottom FC St Helens game, FC St Helens have just signed Jefferson Montero, the ex-Premier League footballer, so that's an interesting one for anybody that's going down there.
No, Premier League. Jefferson Montero,
Swansea City player.
Swansea City, yeah.
Of course. Yeah, so there's all the more reason for you to head down to that game. It's to see him, nothing else.
I shall definitely be pigeonholing him on the Friday night if nothing else for a photo. So,
exactly.
So yeah, he's with the Swans quite some time. Didn't play that many games over the period he was there, but we know him.
You know Jefferson round Swansea area.
Listen, we hope to bump into you sometime anyway over that non-league Groundhop weekend. It's been a pleasure.
If you're there on the Friday, come and find us. Come say hello. We'll be easy to find, and we'll meet up then for a coffee.
Certainly will.
Most definitely. Thanks very much, Chris.
Thanks so much for your time.
Cheers, guys.
All the best. Take care, mate.
You take care.
Bye now.
Bye.
Special shout out to all the businesses that support Skelmersdale United Football Club, Origin Sign Company, T&W Garners, 7PDS, Skem Express Cars 5005, Lease Car UK, RNB Auto Centre, SB Skills Solutions and Hey Presto Web Design. Thank you to everyone who donates to the club, supports our race nights, raffles and the lottery bonus ball scheme. And, of course, the last man standing. A special thanks to those who organise these fundraising events, especially the incredible Lee Davis and Lucas Bergquist. To all who stand by us both on and off the field, we are truly grateful. If you wish to sponsor the show, please contact me at chairman.skemutdfc@gmail.com or call me on 07766 054 548. All proceeds will go to Skelmersdale United Football Club. Thank you for your unwavering support. Hello and welcome to the third and final part of the show, and once again thank you very much to our special guest this week, which was Chris Berezai, and I believe you've got a little statement to read out from the North West Counties.
Yeah, absolutely. So this comes from the North West Counties director, Martin Fallon. We are very excited to run yet another Groundhop weekend. It is usually a feast of football over the weekend, and I'm sure the clubs that we have selected this time around will be of great interest to a number of people. Knowing the people at the clubs, the Saturday is only around a 20-mile drive to cover the 4 games, whilst there is only 3 miles that separate Abbey Hay and Droylsden. I'm sure that the clubs involved will make everyone welcome. Previous years have seen season best attendances at many of the clubs selected, and we have even set ground attendance records at some of the games. Last year we sadly lost 2 games due to the weather, but of the 5 that went ahead, they have an average attendance of just under 500. I am sure this year will prove just as popular. The Groundhop is firmly established now as an annual fixture within the league, and this Groundhop will make it 38 clubs that we have managed to visit since our first one in 2017. The plan is to visit all member clubs over time, and I am absolutely convinced that they will do that.
Yeah,
100%. We will not be one of them, unfortunately, because as we
found out, we didn't know whether you were nominated or not, but because we ground share, we'll never be on the list of ground hops, of course, which makes sense when you think about it. I suppose.
It really does, yeah. It doesn't give a different experience. You couldn't visit Bearscough twice, could you? No, it doesn't give for a different experience, unfortunately. No, so
I totally understand it now. Didn't at the time. I just thought you were nominated for it.
Yeah, it gives us all the more impetus to get a home of our own back at Skem.
Most definitely, and as Chris said, we'll be first on the list. They'll be knocking on the door.
We certainly will.
Of us, which will be great.
If it makes you feel any better, Route 1 Rovers don't have this opportunity either because they ground share too.
I know, yeah. Never thought about that. Well, considering we're playing them, we're going to come to that in a minute. But listen, we're coming to the final part of the show, which is... of course, about our predictions, our expert analysis on what's going to happen, the form tables at the weekend. Where are we going to start? Are we starting with tonight?
Yeah, I think we should. Yeah.
Tonight, which is last night?
Yes, it is. Tonight,
which is Lower Breck versus Pilkington?
Absolutely. It's got to be Lower Breck, really, hasn't it? Yeah. Just that run of form just isn't stopping anytime soon. You know, some magnificent performances very recently, obviously most notably at home to Ramsbottom United. Still, there's so much impetus on them to take maximum points from every single game to ensure that they preserve their place in the playoffs at the very, very least. But then, it's not out of reach that they could overhaul Ramsbottom and take top spot. So that's a home win.
Yeah, and before we go really in depth, we'll talk about the 2 big games of the weekend, arguably, apart from our one against Route 1 Rovers, is Bury versus Lower Breck.
Yeah.
So they're playing within,
48 hours.
48 hours of each other.
Absolutely.
How that's manifested itself, I don't know, and I'm not going to... You know?
I know.
Go on then.
I know this. So... Prior to the start of the season beginning, Lower Breck submitted the request to the league that all midweek fixtures that they play take place on a Thursday.
Right.
So with that in mind, the league has absolutely honoured that one and said, yes, you can play on Thursday. You're also playing on Saturday as well. And because because Lower Breck have submitted that their midweek games are played on a Thursday, this is what's happened.
Well, that's incredible.
It's incredible that I knew this before he did.
Well, listen, it's going to be the same for Bury, of course, because... no, it's not going to be the same for Bury. Bury are not playing tonight, are they?
They are not. It is just the one game occurring on this Thursday night, which last night. So you'll know the result about the same time you're listening to this. So then they've got to go from playing home to Pilkington to then visiting Bury at Gig Lane. It is without a doubt the most inconvenient time to be playing Bury. It's
it is,
48 hours.
If they manage to win both of these games, you've got to say they are definitely title contenders.
100%. I don't know whether they will. I think the 48-hour turnaround is a bit too sharp and a bit too much.
Just a more intensive training session. They'd have been training tonight anyway, wouldn't they?
They would have been, possibly, yeah.
They played on Friday nights, haven't they, as well?
If they
played some of the games on Friday nights.
If they have, they may very well have been away.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. So we'll jump straight to this one, and I believe that Bury are going to win that one just purely by virtue of the turnaround time.
So we're on the Premier League fixtures, and we're looking at Bury versus Lower Breck. 3 o'clock kickoff. They're all 3 o'clock kickoffs this time, except for the last one, which is FC Isle of Man, which is always 6 o'clock when they're playing at home. So we're going for a Bury. You're going for a Bury home win?
I am, yes.
Oh, yeah. You know what? It's got draw written all over it, but we predicted that many draws last week and didn't come up with any, I don't think at all. So I'm going to... Oh, God, I'm going to... I don't know. You know what? I'm definitely going for a draw on this one.
Okay.
Well, the draw will suit... Well, you say the draw will suit Bury more than it will suit Lower Breck, but I don't know right now.
I think right now, I think both teams would take a draw at the very minimum here. Largely because if you look at those top 4 teams, you kind of want to think that they're sort of forming a bit of a breakaway away from the rest of the league. There's 5 points difference between Lower Breck in 4th and West Didsbury and Chorlton in 5th. Now, barring Paddingham's surge of games in hand, rocketing them up into the top 4, you have to say that these are the 4 teams that we're looking at right now as title contenders. Yeah. Now, with that in mind, if you draw against a title contender, it does nobody any harm, really, because you've got a really difficult fixture out the way and come away with a point. Yeah. Which is why I would say that, you know, for either or, a draw is, you know, an okay result. But just purely for how fast they've got to turn that around, I will say Bury.
Yeah, listen, there's a lot of games to play anyway, isn't there? So, like you say, a point mightn't be a bad thing. But like you say, Bury, 3 points. You're thinking 3 points for Bury?
I am thinking 3 points for Bury, yes.
Bearscough versus Barnoldswick Town. I don't know which way this is going to go.
Me neither. So Barnoldswick didn't have a great result against Bury, but Bearscough have not had great results for the last handful of games, really.
The form for both teams is pretty poor at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Just 1 win in 6 for Bearscough, no wins in 6 for Barnoldswick. A couple of draws thrown into the mix there as well, and you have to say that looks like a deadpan draw. I'm
going to go for Bearscough.
All right.
Yeah, just marginally. I think they'll scrape a win there. I think think next season Bearscough will be one of the contenders. They'll have a more established team, and I think they'll be definitely pushing for the playoffs next season.
You might be right.
So I'm going to go for the Bearscough win. Charnock Richard versus Chadderton.
So Charnock Richard, with that amazing home form and that recent run of good form that was ended away at Ramsbottom. Back at home, but against Chadderton, who themselves are scrapping for draws at the minute. Their form has dropped off. 2 wins out of 6, but 4 losses as well. They don't tend to do well against the other big boys, and I don't really see that changing today. So I will say a home win for Charnock Richard.
I'm going for Chadderton. I think listen, return to form. They lost 3, they won 2, and they lost the last game. I think they'll get back to winning ways.
Well, all right then.
Cone versus FC St Helens. FC St Helens all day long for me.
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
I don't know about all day long. I think they will take the result, but I think it may only be 1 or 2 goals in it. Yeah.
It's probably a little bit closer than I'm saying, Earlham versus Glossop North End.
Normally, I would say that with really good home form, Earlham would have had this. Yeah. But Glossop North End, as we said in the first part of the show, they're becoming a really, really difficult team to beat and have a habit of grinding out results where they need to. That's why I'm going for a draw here.
I'm going for Glossop, just to be awkward. I'm hoping more than anything for Richard's sake more than anything.
Yeah, fair enough.
Longridge versus Cheadletown.
Yeah,
not much difference between the two in terms of form.
No, so Cheadletown 15th, Longridge 19th. As far as form is concerned, they're kind of middle of the park. Really, so I'm saying a draw here. I think they're quite an uneventful draw.
Surprisingly, I'm going to go along with you there, and I'm going to say draw myself.
Is it now?
Yeah,
okay.
Definitely.
This one should be far more easier to negotiate, which is Pilks versus Padiham. Now, that Padiham train just kind of keeps on running, and I don't see it really stopping for Pilks. It's an away win here.
So that's the P Derby.
It is. So Pilks and Pads.
Pilkingtons versus Padiham. I think based on recent form and their charge for the title.
Yeah.
They'll be expected to win, so I'm going for Padiham as well.
There you go. Prestwich Hayes versus Litherland Remica. So I know that Prestwich Hayes had that wonderful result against AFC Liverpool. South Liverpool, pardon me. Earlier on in the week. I don't know whether that's enough to really signify a true turnaround in form, and I'm not inclined to see it against Remica, so I'm going to go an away win there.
I'll go for a draw again.
Okay. South Liverpool versus Stockport Town. So after that result, I think that probably does speak volumes about South Liverpool, and you kind of bet your house on Stockport Town to win that one.
Yeah, definitely go for Stockport. Sorry, you going for Stockport Town?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to go for South Liverpool, but you're right. Yeah, Stockport Town, that's what I meant.
There you go.
That's the S Derby.
Yeah, for heaven's sake.
And listen, you look at it there, though. There's a B Derby, there's a C Derby, there's an S Derby, a P Derby. I know this is irrelevant, but
why are you finding that? Because we don't have enough interesting things to talk about on this show, Frank. Yeah. You're pulling the alliteration derbies here.
Let's move on to the Squires Gate versus Ramsbottom. Then I'm going for Ramsbottom.
Yeah, me too.
Return to they won on Tuesday night.
They're carrying, exactly.
Carry that form on. West Didsbury versus Chorlton. Are you going for Ramsbottom, by the way?
Yeah, of course.
Ramsbottom. West Didsbury and Chorlton versus Abbey Hay.
That's an annoying one because that's 5th versus 6th as far as the form table is concerned.
A tough game.
Yeah, and it's 5th versus 13th when you look at the actual Premier Division itself. I just want to say, with a great home form again, large support, West Dids and Chorlton for me.
Yeah, I'll go along with that.
Yeah, and then FC Isle of Man versus AFC Liverpool. Normally on these occasions, you'd sort of bank on an FC Isle of Man win because of their home form is just so imperious. Right now,
1 win in 6 games.
1 win in 6 games. AFC Liverpool coming to town with 2 wins and a draw. Behind them, there's no win in the last 3 games, but nonetheless, you'd kind of want to say that this is where they take a point, really. Yeah. So I want to say that FC Isle of Man are going to take the win here, but I just can't see it right now.
I'll go FC Isle of Man because they've got the home advantage, large gate.
Bowl, yes.
And like I say, I've said all along, AFC Liverpool's form has been erratic as well. So just purely based on the home advantage.
Yeah, true.
So moving on to the
First Division South.
First Division South, as we do before we go north.
So we're going to start with the 1-2 o'clock kickoff in the midst. which is Wolverhampton Sporting Community at home to New Mills.
Did we discuss why some of the kickoffs were at 2 o'clock? Did we discuss that in the last show?
We actually didn't, and we really should, because it's very
we know
relevant.
the reason why now, don't we?
Yes, we do.
Do you know the reason why as well? Yeah?
I'll leave it up to you, Frank. You tell the ladies and gentlemen.
Well, apparently the reason why we had 2 o'clock kickoffs last week was down to the fact that certain clubs had bulbs missing. Is that what you had?
Bulbs missing?
Yeah, bulbs from the floodlights.
Are you kidding?
Well,
Is that it?
you sounded like TVK then.
Alright.
Yeah, well, what was your reading on it? Did you think it was another reason?
To be honest, I never found out. You just wanted to sound
Let me up
imperious.
the garden path there, yeah.
Just wanted to sound
Apparently, yeah,
imperious.
there was certain bulbs missing in the floodlights, so that's why they've gone for two. I
Couldn't
don't
just
know
nip
whether
to
that's the
Tesco.
same for Ashton Athletic, but
What, they couldn't just nip to Tesco and grab
yeah,
a couple? Goodness me.
I know.
That's outrageous.
So Ashton Athletic versus Thornton Cleaveys.
Are we going to go there? I thought we were starting at South.
Oh, sorry, we're South, aren't we?
Yes, we don't start. We don't end. We end at the Glamour Division. Come on.
Yeah, listen, my eyesight's flagging.
That's
I
all
am
right.
57 years of age, coming up to 58, so
All right.
that's my excuse.
There you go. Wolves versus New Mills. So
Pride
Wolves
Park.
at Pride Park, home of Derby County. Anyway, Wolverhampton Sporting Community, second from bottom. New Mills, middle of the park. I mean, you'd sort of want to say that's an away win, really, wouldn't
Yeah,
you?
I'm going for New Mills.
I'm going to go New Mills as well. Alsager Town versus Sandbach United. Again, I think that's quite a straightforward away win. Alsager Town are just another team that can't really buy a result at the minute.
I think they're going to, if they haven't already, they've already slipped out of the, have they?
No, they're just clinging on.
Just clinging on.
But Abbey
to
Holton United have got 3 games in hand on them.
All right, okay. Listen, Sandbach United for me as well. Camelids versus Abbey Holton United. I'm going Abbey Holton away.
Yeah, I'm going to say Abbey Holton away as well. So that's 3 straight away wins.
Cheadle Heath Nomads versus Allscott Heath.
Don't say it's the Heath Derby. Don't.
I was going to leave that to you, where you've already nicked it off me.
I've already nicked it off you and confiscated it and put it in a drawer somewhere.
Right.
Right, so Cheadle Heath Nomads are 4th. Allscott Heath are 16th. There's only really one way that I think that's going to go.
Cheadle Heath.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely going for Cheadle Heath on that one. Foley Mere versus Stockport Georgians.
Yeah, teams are 12th and 13th in the domestic table, but Foley Mere encountering a decent run of form, 3 straight wins, which, that's really applaudable for a team that were, really struggling earlier on in the season. Or to Stockport Georgians, 1 win in the last 6, no wins in the last 3, so I'd say a home win there for Foley Mere.
Yeah, it's just purely based on the positional points in the league. I'm going to go for a draw.
Alrighty then. Market Drayton Town against Shawbury. That's Market Drayton, really.
Yeah, Shawbury not doing well at all, are they?
No, they're
bottom
very,
of the form table. They've had 2 draws in 6 games.
Yeah, just very, very adrift, aren't they, really?
Yeah, and what Market Drayton? Listen, marginally better form.
Yeah, it's just enough that they can
I
stabilise
think
mid-table.
Market Drayton will just get that on home form.
Yeah.
Runcorn Town versus Barnton.
Yeah, so teams who are 14th and 15th in the league, but 7th and 16th in the form table. And Runcorn, again, just having a really good run around of form, unbeaten in the last 3 and just 1 loss in the last 6. So, yeah, that's a home win for me, I think.
Yeah, it's a big win for whoever wins that one.
Effectively.
If indeed it does end up a win and not a draw, but I'll go for Runcorn Town on that one as well.
When we speak of big wins...
Yeah, well, the biggest game of the South Division is Winsford United versus Stafford Town.
That's place 2 versus place 1, second versus first in the league.
Winsford have got the slight advantage in terms of they're both on the same points, but Winsford have got a game in hand on Stafford.
They do.
So this is a big game for Stafford, really.
It really is, yeah, absolutely. So Winsford have only lost 1 game at home all season, and even more concerning for Stafford Town, they've only conceded 7 goals at home all season. Now, I've made this point time and time again that great defences will win you leagues and trophies. I don't know whether it's enough for Winsford to do it against Stafford, and I think Stafford will be out of the blocks raring to go. I know they had that slip up the other week, 2 weeks ago, but other than that, their form has been imperious. They've only lost 1 away from home all season. With that in mind, I am going to say a draw.
Right, I'm going to go for Stafford Town.
Right.
Listen, what would be really interesting there? That's a big game in that division. Be
Huge
interesting to see what the attendance is.
Yeah, it will do
in that game.
Yeah, southern attendances tend to be around. They tend to be quite low, sort of 140, 150 mark. Winsford, Stafford, and Sandbach do tend to command sort of bigger attendances. So this one in particular, it's not particularly far from Warrington to Stafford, if you think about it. Winsford to Stafford, Winsford's effectively Warrington, but but nonetheless, I think that would command a gate of 200-ish.
Yeah.
I think so, and I think they'll see out a draw.
Yeah. Well,
Maybe
I've gone for Stafford Town. I think Stafford need that win a little bit more than a little bit more Winsford. But it got all the hallmarks of a draw as well as it.
Probably does.
We'll move on to the Division 1 North, which is our division, of course.
Yeah, it is. And we're going to open. Do you want to take this one, Frank? Since you tried it last time.
Yeah, I've already predicted it. No, I haven't.
No.
But Ashton Athletic versus Thornton Cleveland
In the early kick-off.
they're not really doing well at all, are they?
Ashton Athletic are having a real struggle at the minute. That obviously we know that they got off the mark really well. In their last game, but unfortunately not being able to see it out is becoming a bit of an issue for them. So with that in mind, and particularly when you consider that Thornton Cleveland's had an excellent turnaround in results of their own against who was it that they turned the game around against last week? Bear with me. Daisy Hill. So they were 2-0 down against Daisy Hill and completely turned it around, whereas Ashton Athletic lost against Holker Old Boys, which is that's no shame on them at all. Holker Old Boys are ruinously difficult at home anyway. So with that in mind, you'd be minded to say Thornton Cleveland are going to win this one.
Yeah, I'll go along with that. Thornton Cleveland, I think, slightly better form.
Yeah.
2 wins in 6, whereas Ashton have just had 1 draw in 6 and conceded a whopping 20 goals, and in the bottom 3 of the form table as well, so it doesn't look good for them.
It doesn't, no. So as far as the journey is concerned, we're going to stay in the Makerfield area to Ashton Town, who host Garstang. Now we're going to have half an eye on that game anyway, not least because Kev Towie manages Ashton Town, but also because we'll be minded to see if they do us a favour and keep Garstang within our grasp. So you would hope that they do, and you would think that they will. So I'm saying home win there. Yeah,
I'm going Ashton Town. I know Kevin had aspirations of finishing in the playoffs or better this season. It's not quite panned out that way, but I think what you'll be keen to do now is get as close to those playoff positions as you can as a bit of a test. So Ashton Town for that.
Yeah, absolutely. The Daisy Hill against Darwin. You'd want to say Darwin straight off the bat, really. Daisy Hill are another team that started really strong, but having a really difficult run of form at the minute. Where are they now? Yeah, so they lost their last game, and I think they'd have been really disappointed with that one because it ended a bit of a sequence of 4 games unbeaten for them. So you'd be minded to say that Darwin, who are absolutely flourishing at the minute, really gonna win that one.
Yeah, like I said, they struggled. I mean, it sounds ridiculous to say they struggled against Route 1 Rovers on Saturday, but I maintain the scoreline flattered them. Listen, they're a good team. There's no doubt about that, Darwin. They can score goals. So, listen, it's going to be a Darwin win for me in the D Derby.
Yeah. God's sake. Right. Okay. Exton Villa against Droylsden.
Really interesting one,
This is a really interesting one. Exton are currently holding that last playoff position. However, AFC Blackpool are very much breathing down their necks, and Exton did lose their last game as well, which has put Blackpool right back in contention. They've now got to host Droylsden, which is never a particularly enjoyable experience for anybody. And certainly the manner in which they lost to Ashton Town will have given Droylsden every hope that they can get a result from that game, and I believe that they will. I'm saying in a way.
Yeah, they're building ahead of steam again, aren't they? So I'm going for Droylsden as well.
Yep.
Now, you've already highlighted the fact that Atherton are, because of their great run in the FA Vars, they've got a lot of games in hand on Nelson. So they're away to Main Road on Saturday. This is a must-win game for Atherton. I know it sounds ridiculous saying that, but you've got to start winning some of those games in hand.
You do, yeah, and it's not to say that they haven't been winning their games. They've got 5 straight wins. So you would normally expect Atherton LR to take 3 points here. It's just the fact that the impetus is on them to close the gap on Nelson, and I know that gap is only 4 points, but as we saw with Bury earlier on in the season, it's about making those games in hand count. I do, however, think that Atherton NR will do that, just purely by Main Road having, again, another really difficult run of form at the minute, just 1 win in the last 5 games, and no draws into that equation as well. 5 defeats outright. That's an away win for me.
Yeah, most definitely. Atherton LR all day long.
Yes. So now we come to the big one. It's our game.
Yeah.
Now, we played Route 1 Rovers earlier on in the season and we drew 2-2. And I think it was a game that we thought
we should have won.
We should have won, yeah. They got a penalty in slightly contentious circumstances. And they did make life really difficult for us. But nonetheless, we felt that we played well enough to take the win there. Since then, Route 1 have been on, quite a good run. In fairness, they've won 4 games this season. They've drawn 4 as well. They've
only drawn 1 in the last 6 now, so
they have. They're winless in their last 6 games with just 1 draw, scored 3 goals and conceded 19. We happen to have scored more than that in our last 6 games, but we have conceded 4 more.
Yeah.
So we were aware initially that their defender was suspended for the game when we were due to play them 2 weeks ago. We don't believe that that's the case unless the same man has been sent off this time around. So they finished their last game against
Darwin,
thank you, with 9 men.
8.
Was it 8?
So did I say 8 or not?
You just said 8.
Oh, hang on a minute. How many did they get sent off now?
I thought was it 2?
Oh, right.
You were there.
I know you've forgotten that.
Frank, is it 2 or 3?
Sorry, it was 2 players.
Was it just 2 players? So they finished the game with 9 men. So that means 2 suspensions for our game, which, we will bank on as being, a bit of an advantage. Also as well, only 1 of their 4 wins has come at home, and they've only scored 8 goals at home all season.
Well, listen, every game is a must-win game for Skem right now.
Yeah.
If we're to get anywhere above that bottom spot, and I think we mentioned it earlier, whether there's any reprieves to be had.
Yeah.
We've got to concentrate on gaining as many points as we can, and I think the next 3 games are really, really crucial.
Absolutely.
For Skem.
Yeah.
But I think we're a stronger team now.
We are.
We've got
a sort
recruited Darren Askew back to the squad, which made a difference.
Yeah.
I've been watching the training. They're doing very well. The camaraderie between all the players now is on a different level altogether. It's all about how they can sort of eradicate the feeling of losing. We've not won since the 30th of November, our only win of the campaign so far. Arguably the last two games, I have to remember the home game against Ashton Town. A lot of people come up to me after the game and said, listen, it feels a bit unfair really. There was enough in the team to get a draw, but 3 silly mistakes.
Yeah, and this is a young team, they're going to have to learn the hard way in men's football, unfortunately. We do have, as you say, Darren Askew's come back. Brogan Clark's now finished his period of leave, so he's back for squad selection as well.
Sahid Sahu is back in training as well.
Is he? Okay, so that's a big boost for the defence as well. It's a cult figure in the squad. Is Sahid? We like him. We're very fond of him. Yeah. So there's reasons to be positive as far as Skem is concerned. My other point of contention is whether we can withstand Route 1 Rovers for 90 minutes. They are an incredibly fit team.
I think we're a stronger team. That doesn't mean to say fitter, but I think we're stronger physically. In terms of physical prowess, I think our players are much bigger built. So in terms of getting pushed or knocked off the ball, I don't think that'll happen easily. But you're dead right, they're an extremely robust, fit team, extremely fit, and they play for the full 90 plus minutes of the game. They won't give up, and regardless of whether they've got suspensions, it's not a game to be taken for granted. But that said, I always do it anyway because I'm a great believer. I think the squad is getting better. And I think we might see our second win of the season. So I'm going for Skem United. Yeah,
I'm gonna join you on that one. I'm not gonna sort of bang me drum and say, here we are, we're coming in here for the 3 points. But I think when I sit in that commentary gantry on Sunday, which you can catch on the MixLR app, I think that I could be witnessing 3 points. I really hope so.
Right, and you're going to go berserk then, aren't you? There's a lot of screeching and...
Well, this is it. Is that actually, being a commentator means that you've got to remain calm. And I can't remain calm when Skem win. I invaded the pitch last time. Oh, okay. The thing is, I've got responsibilities now.
You can't do it now, otherwise we'll lose coverage.
We will lose coverage, or the coverage will be very muffled, sort of jump on players or what have you. Anyway.
Feels like ages since we played, though, doesn't it? I mean, What is it, the 4th? So it's, well, are we now? What date are we on? The 25th?
It'll be the 25th by the time we play.
3 weeks since we played.
Goodness me.
A hell of a long time.
That's horrible.
We've been training well.
Yeah.
We've been training Wednesdays. So
how's Ryan McNally fitting in as in the coaching setup?
Listen, he's a great addition to the squad as well as anything. But in terms of coaching, that's his livelihood. That's his job. He's extremely good. He's like a what would you call him? What they call these days? A drill sergeant? Is that?
Is he?
Yeah, but he's charismatic as well with it, and he knows what he's doing. Extremely professional, and the players love him.
Yeah.
So it's a win-win for us. I think we've already said it, haven't we? If you take this team,
put them at the start of the season.
Yeah, at the start of the season. It's a totally different scenario.
I don't think we'd be down there where we are right now. If we had all the players from the start of the season, from day one, I don't think we'd be there.
No,
not at all.
Definitely not.
But we will have to see how that game unfolds. And as I said already, you can catch it on the MixLR app or the MixLR website. I'll be available from streaming from 2:45 on Saturday afternoon. If you need any guidance or advice on how to access that particular streaming service, please inbox the club and I will get back to you.
And as soon as this vast studio that we're sitting in, this podcast studio is reinvented, refurnished, Hopefully, we're going to bring the occasional YouTube version. I think you can do a YouTube audio, which we're going to get on the YouTube audio. But we're going to get our ugly mugs on video.
As if you wanted to see that one. Yes.
Sorry, I didn't have to draw you into the ugly. You're a good-looking man. You know what I mean? There's no. Listen, we're both handsome men, aren't we? So listen, it'll be a treat for many. But yeah, we're gonna go down the route of having a YouTube video version of the show at some stage once this place has all been refitted. But in the meantime, my final question to AJ is, what have you learned in the last week?
I have learned that you've got to be very, very aware of your surrounding areas in regards to your pitch location and your stadium location. I have learned that the fixture list and the fixture congestion can make life incredibly difficult for players when you've got only a 48-hour turnaround on your on your fixtures, and I have also learned that there is a business entirely dedicated to a weekend of non-league football, and I bloody love that.
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. I love the idea of a Groundhop. Definitely going to try and get to that Rams bottom FC St Helens game there and have a coffee with Chris, like you suggested.
28th of February, yeah.
28th of February. So anybody interested in that, you get yourself prepared for that long weekend. It should be quite fascinating. What have I learned?
Yes.
Oh, crikey, life is short.
Yeah,
make the best of every given moment you've got. Pay respect to those that have gone before you and served at the football club, and just mentioned it in the first part of the show, the passing of Paul Griffiths, and just besides ourselves with grief in terms of his passing. And but listen, what effort he put into this football club was amazing. And like I say, from our perspective, all we can do is carry on the legacy of Paul Griffiths.
Yeah, he left behind a hell of a legacy, didn't he?
Yeah, most definitely.
Really did.
And the final words go to AJ as normal.
You've been listening to the Speaking Frankly football show with myself, AJ Vegette, and my co-host, Mr. Frank Hughes. We are available on most streaming services, including Spotify and Amazon Music. Please subscribe and rate our podcast episodes to be the first to find out when a new one has been released. Please also take the time to like us on social media platforms. We are available on Facebook and X. And we do really appreciate any and all feedback you have to give us. So please let us know what you think of the show. And we will see you next week for the 13th episode of the Speaking Frankly football show. Bye-bye for now.